Secretary Clinton appears to be getting a little bit nervous. We have won 7 out of 8 of the recent primaries and caucuses. And she has been saying lately that she thinks that I am, quote unquote, not qualified to be president. Well, let me just say in response to Secretary Clinton, I don't believe that she is qualified.
And that's Bernie Sanders projecting the Bern, trading that whole insult thing with Hillary Clinton over who is qualified to be president. Now, will this ratcheting up of the rhetoric on the left help either candidate? Let's talk about it with our panel. First, from Newsmax, Washington, former mayor of Cincinnati, former Secretary of State for Ohio, Ken Blackwell, currently senior fellow for the Family Research Council, and via Skype from Tampa, Democratic media strategist Franco Ripple, who's also the vice president of KateCom Public Relations. Welcome to you both. And Franco, since it's your crowd, we're going to ask you about it. The gloves are off, and they're using the same charge and countercharge, unqualified to be president. Is that going to wind up hurting both of them?
First of all, they're not using the same charge. Hillary Clinton never anywhere that there's any evidence of uttered those words that Bernie Sanders is unqualified to be president, because I'm sure in her estimation, as well as everyone else's on the left, both of them are more qualified to be president than any of the Republicans who have or are currently running. But second of all, what a huge mistake by Bernie Sanders to try to take this as his path forward, to try to question her qualifications. Like her or not, no matter what, no one sane can question whether she has the qualifications to be president. 8 years as First Lady, 8 years as a U.S. Senator, and 4 as Secretary of State. Give me a break. This was a big mistake by the Sanders camp.
All right, so we know Franco was all in for Hillary. But Kenny, is there a method to Bernie's, quote, madness?
Well, yes, because essentially what he's done is he's pulled her into the center of the ring. And in fact, what he's going to make her do is even go further left in basically proving her qualifications. She's going to say, I'm the most qualified leftist. I am the most qualified, most authentic socialist in this, in fact, battle. And it's going to make her, as well as Bernie, untouchable in the fall.
Well, now, it's interesting to watch the campaign as it moves to New York. Obviously, Mrs. Clinton at one time, a senator from the state of New York. But Hillary was trying to earn points in the Big Apple by getting on the subway. Now, I want you to take a look at this, because it appears, as we get this image up on the screen, that Hillary's trying to get on the subway, but she's having some problems with her fare card. Now, to be fair about this, as she's going through and she can't quite get it through there, that's the fare card, F-A-R-E. To be fair about it, here's George H.W. Bush trying to figure out what happens with a grocery store scanner a couple of decades ago. Is this Hillary's George H.W. Bush moment? Does it show her out of touch with everyday people? Let's begin with you, Ken.
Yes, it does. Look, for the last 30, 40 years, she's been pampered, she's been cared for. She, in fact, has been part of the 1%. And as a consequence, she actually has lost touch with common folk. And I think that this just shines a light on her charades.
All right, what about it, Franco? You going to rise to her defense about this fare card fiasco?
Give me a break. Look, both of you guys are politicians, and you both know that many times politicians have to show that they're in touch. So what do? You do things for optics, such as riding the subway or going to a grocery store to buy a gallon of milk. In this case, the fare card didn't work. Look, both of you guys have been to Washington, D.C. You've used the Metro card there. You know that it's paper and it doesn't work. Same thing in New York. Bernie Sanders didn't even know that you use a Metro card. He thought he was still a token, like Back to the Future.
Well, you really? Well, we're just going to put up, in addition to being a Democrat strategist, we're going to put a subtitle under Franco's name, really doesn't like Bernie Sanders. No offense to you, Frank. I'm going to have to bring on a Sanders spokesman just to make this fair, and a few folks are volunteering out there. Now,
just calling it like it is.
Okay, pal. Here's we're going to go back to the right side of things, and I got to get your take on something, Ken. We got about a minute and a half left. There's the governor of Ohio. The state you once served Secretary of State. In fact, if memory serves, I believe you were once the Republican nominee for governor a few years ago. John Kasich staying in this race. What is the strategy, and is it well advised to follow this, Ken?
John Kasich is playing for the number 2 position. He will never admit it. But in fact, he has some of the smartest minds in the business around him. He's going to go into an open convention in his home state with some leverage. That's what he's playing, and he's banking on the fact that there will not be any coalescing between Trump and Cruz forces, and as a consequence, it will in fact give him some play in the game.
So in essence, and we thank you both for your insights, but it sounds to me almost like you're saying, Ken, John Kasich is adopting an Avis strategy. He's trying harder, but to be number 2. Okay, we'll keep track of the Veep stakes. I don't know if Franco is going to recommend Hillary putting Bernie Sanders on the ticket there on the left or vice versa, but it's always great to talk to you guys. Franco Ripple and Ken Blackwell, we thank you very much. You heard their comments. Now I'm interested. Do you have some comments on what they had to say? Send them to us at newsmaxtv.com/comments or via Twitter at NewsmaxPrime. And when we come back, conservatives on campus, it's tough.